right, my name's Linda Deane. I live in Livermore, Maine. I started working at the IP Mill in Jay in 1977, where I worked for 10 years until the strike. I worked on paper machines. In fact, I was the first woman to work on a paper machine at that mill. And I also worked in the labs and in the finishing department there. I was in a lab when we went on strike. And like a lot of people, I didn't go back. And I did work for Pace, for the local. We went on the road. I was actually with Cindy Bennett, and I worked closely together during the strike on strike-related things, going to other towns and states, and it was kind of fun, even though it was a lot of work and we were trying to get our jobs back, and big letdown when that didn't happen. But so after the strike was over, I got a job up at the Rumford Mill, which was Boise Cascade, when I first went to work there in 1989. And I started off on a paper machine up there, number 5 paper machine, which no longer exists now, and went on to 15. But when I went over to 15, I had also applied to be a mechanical maintenance apprentice, and I got the apprenticeship. So I went through a 4-year apprenticeship. I'm what they call a journeyman mechanic, and we're multi-craft, so I weld, pipe fit, paint, take things apart and put them back together. Well, I can do all that. They don't make me do a lot of that stuff now, thank goodness. But I also, and what I do with it, I work with the crane crew now, which we have a lot of big overhead cranes, and most of the time I'm their ground man. Unless they've got a piece of machinery on the ground, then I help fix it. But they don't make me go way up there, which I'm really glad about. I'm the Woman of Steel coordinator for the United Steelworkers for the state of Maine. So, and I'm having a meeting next Tuesday up in Bangor for all the United Steelworker women that can make it there from the whole state. I went to work a lot for the international, well, actually it was for our local, but we were out on the road. We'd go to Massachusetts and organize, go speak at different rallies and different unions down there to help raise money, tell them what was going on up here, and then take a collection and get money to help out with the strike up here. And I met a lot of really neat people. I met Pete Seeger during that time. I also was giving a speech in Boston Common. At the same time, people before me that spoke were talking about the Iran-Contra affair, and there was ROTC people actually marching around us, protesting against what, because they wanted peace there. And then when I started talking, I figured everybody'd leave. I mean, this was a massive crowd, and somebody had actually written me a speech. It was so exciting. And people that were listening, because I had practiced the speech, I got a compliment that they thought I sounded like Janis Joplin, yelling and getting people fired up. So that was interesting. It was a pretty big letdown at the end when we did not win, because we thought if we held in there, we'd all get our jobs back and go back to work, and it would be like it was before we left, but it didn't. So I went to work at Rumford. I did get called back to, well, I don't know if it was still IP when I got called back. I'd been at Rumford, I was almost through my apprenticeship, so I'd been up there over 4 years. And I was, yeah, it must have been 4, because I kept saying, I don't even have 5 years up here, and I've got all that time down there, and I'll be losing all this vacation time. That was my big thing, vacation time, right? And then my husband sat me down and said, everyone you talk to that's gone back is miserable. What good is it to go back and be miserable for all those weeks of the year just so you get 4 weeks and then 5 weeks vacation? And you're getting I'm going to be a millwright. I have a trade now. If I go back down there, I don't know if I'd get into their trade department or not. I think they had an apprenticeship there too, but here I was almost all the way through mine. So I thought better of it, and I stayed right at Rumford, and it's been it's been tumultuous because of machines going up, machines going down, changing loaners. Hopefully right now everything's going to be turning out a lot better up there for everyone. Even today, it's predominantly men. Out of about 600 people, and I'm not sure of how many right now, I know we used to have about 80 out of 650. And right now we had gone down in our ranks to under 500, and we're moving back up to our 600, but I don't know if we've got 60 women in there or 80, so there's a lot more men in there than women. Going into the mill at IP, of course, that was back in the mid-70s, well, late 70s. And if the feeling was amongst the men that we were just getting hired to make the quota of women, and that women shouldn't be on paper machines or work in the maintenance department. And I was so amazed when I went to work up at, it's Boise Cascade then, that they had women that were back tenders and machine tenders. The women had always gone right up on the paper machines up there. The men don't like to accept the women, even now. And if you make a mistake, if a woman makes a mistake, it's like 3 times as bad as if a man made the same mistake, In my opinion, if I do something and they start in, look, I know it's been done before. I'm not the first one that did this, But most of the women, if they're a good worker, the men do respect them. And I wish other women were here to attest to this, but when we first went in the mill, chauvinism was quite rampant, and also a lot of sexual innuendos going on. Today this stuff isn't tolerated, and it's a lot more out in the open that you've got to respect each other. They may be saying it, but they're not saying it so you can hear it anymore, where they used to say it and you heard it, and you had to have broad shoulders and let things just roll off your back if you wanted to keep your job. So I don't think it's a very good future for the paper industry. As we can see, we've lost a lot of, just United Steelworker mills in the state of Maine in the last 10 years. We're down to, we've got Lincoln, it's Woodland, Sappy, us, another Sappy mill down down in Westbrook, and then we, of course, have the Hutamaki mill, which is paper products, but not paper. I guess that's the way things are going. We're not going to see actual rolls of paper coming off many machines anymore. It's going to be things, wrapping paper and paper to make dog food bags and things like that. And they're working very hard, I know, up at Catalyst to diversify and do new products. We still got a lot of the old products, but they're trying hard to break into this new product line. So I'm really scared about some of this, like here in Jay, there's a lot of rumor that they're not doing very well, and it's going to be like a race to see who's left, and then they'll be the one to be the big paper maker in the state. Hopefully it isn't just one. I'm hoping for a couple, and that Rumford will be one of them. But we make coated and coated free sheet, coated on 2 sides, and then they also make plain non-coated paper there right now. They are working on, and I don't know the names of all this stuff because I'm a millwright now and I don't pay attention to this, but we are making something it goes on beer bottles, and it's called wet strength, I believe, so that when your label comes off your beer bottle in the cooler, it doesn't disintegrate, it keeps its shape so you can see, oh yeah, that was a Budweiser or whatever. We're doing that. We're also doing this, what they call relief paper. It's what stickers come off on, and you can peel things off from it. They're doing a lot of that. That's our new product line that's coming through. I'm kind of depressed about how how our community seems to be falling apart. I mean, one of the oldest stores in the town is closing now, the Foss Jeweler store, and we just don't have a Main Street anymore. Main Street's, there's people, you know, stores there, but I don't think a lot of people are going to these stores. And we have nothing to bring people into town except for the chuck wagon. So we really need to see some sort of manufacturing come around here again. I don't know what. It probably won't be paper, but it would be nice to see something come in back here and hire 100 or 200 people and get people back to work.